I think the exact quote was, the sheriff said in the press conference yesterday, was that he doesn't need a dog and pony show to win the election. He could win it on pink underwear. What's your response?
Well, no, you know, it's just another gimmick. Everything's a gimmick to this man. That's why he won't be held accountable. That's why his organization is not transparent. It's why he continuously denies public records access, because he's not willing to answer the tough questions. He has to have a gimmick. He has to have a diversion. In fact, I predicted these diversions probably 6 to 8 weeks ago during other interviews. I said their eventual sweeps will occur. As this campaign heats up, there will be more of these. In fact, I have actually stated I wouldn't be surprised if he hits my house with a search warrant, because he's very desperate, he's very vulnerable, and I think you're seeing the repercussions of that. When you have a county sheriff that is willing to allow a SWAT team to do an aggressive entry into a city hall building at 2 o'clock in the morning and then lie to the local law enforcement authorities that there was no event, that's dangerous. That is dangerous, and it compromises the police officers in the city of Mesa. It compromises his own sheriff's deputies, not counting the security within a city hall. There was absolutely no need to have a night-type search warrant. In my whole 32-year career, I've probably served no more than 10 nighttime search warrants. And I spent 12 years on SWAT. I've been involved in 5 shootings. And nighttime search warrants are not that justifiable. I'm very anxious to see the written affidavit to see how they justified a nighttime search warrant for a non-violent type crime.
But wouldn't that question go to the judge who signed that search warrant?
Absolutely, and I encourage you, and I'm anxious to get my hands on it to see, because that's a very ineffective use, or very aggressive use of a very special tool. Nighttime search warrants are very, very managed very comprehensively, like wiretaps. It's very invasive to be able to hit somebody's home in the middle of the night, or especially a public building, when you could have called the officials and made a very professional entry. Go in and do your job and do your investigation, no problem with that. But to do it in that manner is clearly political, and that's my opinion. How would you handle the
situation? I mean, immigration is a very controversial issue, and I mean, these are people that were arrested for ID theft and forgery, et cetera, et cetera. How would you handle the situation?
But you also have to question the identity theft part of that. From the information I've been given by the folks representing some of these people that are under arrest, I've been told that a majority of the cases of identity theft that they're charged with a Class 4 felony is really people who have used their name, their actual date of birth, their actual address. They just made up a social security number. Well, when you look at it from that context, that's forgery. Absolutely, it's a crime. But it's not the emotional identity theft that they want you to believe. Because when you hear the word identity theft, you immediately think someone broke into someone's home and they took their ID and they're really being that person. No. Very different. See, you don't get explained that part of it.
Let me rephrase the question.
Let me finish. It's the emotional side of identity theft. And it really is an identity theft. Just like the employer sanctions is a civil matter. The first couple of offenses are all civil in nature. That's why there's never been an arrest on employer sanctions yet.
Okay, you have an employee who knows that there's something wrong with this company, tells a supervisor doesn't listen, goes to the sheriff's office. I mean, at this point, Arpaio is irrelevant to my question. Had he come to you, or had that tipster come to you, how would you have handled the situation? How would you have handled the possible illegal circumstances of that entire...
Happens every day.
Okay,
when I was the police chief in Buckeye, most recently, up until retiring in May, I would get calls probably once a week from people who knew me throughout the community, because I've been here my whole life. People who have met me at other situations. I've had information in the city of Chandler. I've had information in the city of Surprise, Glendale. You get phone calls because people think they can trust you, or they're not satisfied with the answer. Every one of those were given the professional courtesy to call back to the department head, because most of the time the department head has no clue that occurred. And those situations are handled internally, or at least supported, not just taken over. Does he have the authority? Sure he does. Is it the professional courtesy that we all extend each other? No. That's the difference.
I don't think you're answering my question, though.
I would have called Chief Gascon, and I would have said I was given this information. That's my answer. And let him do his thing. If in fact he has a breakdown internally, then that needs to be looked at, absolutely. But to take the information and not even notify Chief Gascon, absolutely not do it that way.
Sheriff Arpaio says that he has the backing of most police associations in the county, Maricopa County. Who backs you as far as police associations?
Well, hang on a second.
What's the difference?
Yeah, you know, here is a really great example of why this sheriff will not debate. This is why this sheriff just chooses to put out press releases chooses to use PR flags to make his statements for him because he can't justify it. That is a very broad statement that he has support of most. He has the support of 3 law enforcement agencies in the state. I have the support of over 80. The people that represent me represent probably about 14,000 to 16,000 police officers in the state. He has 3 individual endorsements that I'm aware of.
We're talking about in the county.
In the county is 2 that I'm aware of. In the county I have all 16. I have the Fraternal Order of Police, the Arizona Police Association, and the Arizona Conference of Chiefs and Sheriffs, who represent agencies within that umbrella. I have all those. In fact, I just picked up the National Latino Police Officers Association yesterday, not only nationally but for the state.
A lot of the sheriff's supporters who are, anti-illegal immigrants say, hey, whatever it takes for the sheriff to round up and get rid of as many illegal immigrants as possible. If he needs to send a SWAT team into Mesa City Hall in the middle of the night, more power to him.
You know what? I think that's an extreme attitude. I think what you see is the extremists are willing to say that, because when you go out throughout this county like I do and speak every day, what you hear are people are not willing to compromise. And what's happened is Joe Arpaio's obsession with immigrations. He's compromised public safety throughout this county because he takes these limited resources. Here you have 30 deputies on the SWAT team doing this invasion yesterday to arrest 16 people who are not anywhere listed on the 40,000 felony warrants. They're not listed anywhere in the unincorporated areas of the county when it comes to the 30% rise in crime that they experienced in 2007. And in fact, the crime rates in the county unincorporated areas from 2004 to 2007 have risen 45%. Let's just give them a little credit and say last year's 30% increase in crime. Response times to emergencies are over 10 minutes. Until you can provide those basic services, you can't do this stuff. So people are not willing to compromise their cops in their area and their beat to go arrest corn vendors or people that are here doing janitorial work. That's the difference. Because, hang on, just say this. What he does is he likes to use that survey that was taken that 70% of Arizonans want illegal immigration enforcement. You know what? I'm part of that 70%. I've been here my whole life and dealt with illegal immigrations. And I pay taxes like you do. But the second question on that survey that he never brings up or talks about is, are you willing to compromise your cops and your resources in your area to do that? The answer is no. And that's the second question that has to be asked. And take away, that's why he won't debate, because he can't justify compromising everyone's safety throughout this county, closing satellite facilities, and going after immigrations this aggressively, because there's no one to answer to. And that's why he won't sit at the table and debate. I'm sorry, Dennis, go ahead.
I was just going to, kind of to that point, maybe, or already kind of answered some of that, but the sheriff still enjoys a pretty good, pretty healthy approval rating. A lot of people, when they are polled, say they want something done with illegal immigration. And you're saying that a lot, that the sheriff's point of view or anybody's point of view who says, well, do anything you can to stop the illegal immigration is extremist. Do you think a majority of voters in Maricopa County are extremists?
No, again, you're not representing that correctly. He's got a 52% approval rating in the latest Rocky Mountain poll that was done 10, 12 weeks ago. And I would say, from what I've been told by the experts, that an incumbent who's anywhere near the 50s is in danger of losing their job. That's a huge signal when you see the trend of his approval rating from the 80s steadily decrease quite significantly this last year. So I'm saying the extremist is the voice you're hearing of this outrage, because when you ask people like I do, and you know as well as I have, I put 60,000 miles on my truck this year, driving around this county and talking to 2 people or talking to 200, and they're saying we want immigrations, and I'm one of those people, but I'm not willing to give up my Gilbert cops, keeping my family and neighborhood safe, and serving felony warrants and doing the threat to this community first before immigrations. Because all the police chiefs are very actively enforcing immigrations. And that's another thing that gets left out, because that's what he writes in a news release and tells you. The police chiefs are very successful. In fact, Arpaio's method, like you just saw yesterday, is the least effective. It's had the least effect, it's had the least amount of results. Compared to the agencies who work together, like Phoenix and DPS and ICE in the IMPACT program, they're arresting 5 times the amount of undocumented immigrants and 3 times the amount of human smuggling. That's the threat to you. Very much more successful, but you don't see police chiefs out there grandstanding and showboating. They're just out doing their job.